Welcome to the Hooking Up and Tracking Down Show. 11:30 The Tiger. It's Gary McCoy along with the Ranger Pro Staffer, Iowa Pro Staffer, No-Show Sock.
Hanes Underwear.
No-Show Sock Pro Staffer.
Fruit of the Loom.
Yeah.
You may be fruit.
Hey, Jay, his microphone is really, really hot. Steve's is. He is Steve.
Because he's so hot.
Thank you, Jay.
And on top
well,
of
if that's
that,
a compliment coming from a guy or not.
I said your microphone was really hot. Also, here
Put your microphone up, Greg.
The old mud hen, Mike Eccles, and we got some in studio company today. You're not really company though. You're kind of like that next door neighbor that just is always here. You know, you bring cornbread and we.
Well, it's like anytime anybody's got something cooking, you know, you smell it and you just got to come check it out and see what's happening.
I can't believe you, of all people, would show up without something to eat.
Yeah, I was about to complain. He's Kelly Haydale from Haydale's Game Calls. He's going to be with us for the entire show today. And
be careful what you smell in here.
No doubt. You don't know if it's the first time around or the second time.
Exactly.
I hate when we have to start off the show with bad news.
Yeah.
But again,
some sad news from Toledo Bend. A guy that
Somebody
sponsored
pulled the plug.
yeah, just about over there. But a guy that sponsored our show from day one years ago when we first started this thing over 9 years ago. Lee Wright with Adco Rod and Reel Repair. And matter of fact, I used Lee a lot for that guy was outstanding with rod and reel repair. He could fix anything, and he always had access to especially if you had some of them old BB Loos. He had plenty of parts. He's just one of those guys that just knew how to get things fixed and working right for you. And great guy, also a great guide. Did a lot of guiding on the lake, and he has passed away this past week, and he will be sorely missed. He was also a big supporter of the TBLA, Toledo Bend Lake Association, which we're members of, and again, our heart goes out to the Wright family and all those that associated with Toledo Bend over there that knew Lee really, really well. Great guy.
Hey, this segment brought to you by Cypress Knee Outdoors, Coastal Conservation Association, Louisiana Charter Boats, and the Red River Waterway Commission. Make sure you check us out on Facebook. If you want to go to the website, you want to see what's happening, you can actually stream us live as we're on right now at HUTD.net, or go to the Facebook page. You'll get links to some great stories. You'll get links to some of the archived shows. You might want to listen to the show last week when we had Gerald Swindle on. Oh, my God. Every time I think about him he was talking about how tough the fishing was. He said it was as tough as it is on a fat kid in a dodgeball contest.
Hey, he did a deal yesterday on Facebook that wherever he was fishing, Toho or someplace, he was talking about how bad the wind was blowing.
Yeah.
He said the wind was blowing so strong it could have blown Oprah Winfrey into a aspirin bottle.
And some other things, Gary, that we have also that I have actually posted on our Facebook page as well. The reel cleaning tips. That video has been posted. Also, the WeGo that Mike gave me and you for Christmas.
I love mine.
I'm using the heck out of that thing, dude.
I told Graf, we were down and Graf's phone was starting to get a little weak, and he was like, I hope we don't have any problems or anything. And I said, dude, I got my WeGo in my tackle box.
Yeah, and that made me put it in my boat. I've got it in my keep it in my boat now all the time. Now. Also, 2016 Bassmaster Classic preview with Aaron Martin just doing an evaluation of the upcoming tournament. So also check that out.
Exciting.
I knew Mike was going to say he couldn't hold back. He just had to put his 2 cents in on that one. But anyway, you check it out. We got and some other stuff that I have actually posted this morning is also.
Let me interject.
All right, go ahead.
Bend over. No,
I'm doing that February 12th.
I put something on Facebook this morning. I think on our Facebook page.
Did you?
Yes. And
are you sure it was ours?
It said have fun with Big Steve.
That's a different website. No, that's a different Facebook page.
No, I saw a
That's
deal.
like going to hookingup.com.
Exactly.
Not the same one.
Yeah. I saw a deal on Facebook this morning. I posted, and it was somebody had photographed a whitetail buck on an estate.
Yeah.
From year 1 to year 11 of its life.
Wow.
And it was a spike the first year.
Yeah.
The next year, it was a 6-point estimated score about 85 inches. Graduated to an 8-point the next 2 years, an 11-point then down to a 9 point, and back down to a 7 or a 6, like it's 10.5 year. But it went from a spike and wound up being a estimated score of like 170 and weight of 260. Wow. But that contradictory is, if he's a spike, he's always going to be an inferior deer.
Right.
Well,
right.
I still refer to what Texas Parks and Wildlife said. They said, if you live in Texas and you live in a 2-buck county and 2 spikes walk up in front of you, shoot the first one and don't let the second one get away. That's what they said. I'm just telling for all intents and purposes, they've looked at all of this, and there are exceptions to every rule. But from what I interpreted, they're saying, hey, look, they say there is no way that all the does on your place won't get bred.
Yeah.
So why in the world would you want to gamble on the possibility of an inferior buck breeding your doe when you can go ahead and take that animal? And then a better buck will take her.
But what is the approximate age that a buck matures? What is that level?
Well, you can have a first year set of horns at 6 point.
Yeah.
And you should have 4 to 6 the first year.
Yeah.
That's the reason a spike.
So is it probably year 4, year 5 before
typically
really?
whenever they hit their 6th year, they're on there. I mean, fifth to 6th year is when they're going to be at their
I think this deer was either 6.5 or 7 years old when he peaked out, and then from then on, body weight and antler size started falling. But it's about 10 really good pictures.
But what's so funny is I read in the old Louisiana Conservationist magazine. You remember that when we were all young? There was a story on there that said back then that if a buck reached 4.5 years of age in the state of Louisiana, he was 100% nocturnal.
Wow,
that wouldn't surprise me.
I mean, that's how hard we are on a deer.
If he reached what age?
4.5 years of age, he was 100% nocturnal.
Tommy Brown said a white-tailed deer, even on his high fence place, 4 years old, is a totally different animal.
Really?
Wow.
Huh. He's got deer inside a 300-acre pen that once they reach 4.5 years old, they will go a year without seeing them or catching them on camera.
Wow.
Dude, when's the last time you washed this mug? That is nasty. There's stuff growing in that thing, man. What is that?
What that mug?
He's not drinking out of it. I can't believe you picked it up.
He's drinking out of it. He's sipping on it.
Mike, you know those Canada Goose decoys with the flocked heads?
Yeah.
That's what the inside of that cup looks like. It's fuzzy.
Good gosh.
Hey, we killed 3.
That's my
We killed 3 greater Canadians this week in Arkansas, and one of them was banded.
Is that right?
Wow.
I didn't kill him. Had gone someplace else for a few minutes.
What year was it that you could shoot Canadian geese again?
Oh, gosh.
It's been in the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
For the longest, you couldn't shoot a canvasback and you couldn't shoot a Canadian goose.
Right, exactly.
And since then, I don't know that I've ever seen one of the graders, but I've seen some of the others. And I'll tell you what, it was the wildest thing. I was up on Black Bayou Austin, and I was fishing along, and all of a sudden I came up on a grader.
Yeah.
Coolest thing I've ever seen. It's a grader who had made a nest on the lake on top of a duck blind.
Oh, wow.
That was awesome.
There's one down on
some irony there, isn't it?
Hey, we got some local guys we need to give a little exposure to here, guys, on the Walmart BFL tour. Some Shreveport. Hats off to the Louisiana guys. They kind of kicked them Texas boys' tail pretty good. The top 5 guys are all from
Toledo Bend.
This is on Toledo Bend. Top 5 guys are from Louisiana, including Cody Pitt from Manning. He won the tournament with 24-5. Dusty Anders from Pineville had 24 even. Daryl Gleason, who we're going to have on the show before too long, is from Leesville. He had 23-2. Dylan Poche, a Natchitoches Central High School kid, who is, I think he's now fishing for Northwestern State, and a product of one of my fishing classes.
I'd take all that credit.
I'm telling Dylan came in 4th with
he caught fish in spite of the fact.
Exactly. He came in 4th with 22-8. Nick LeBrun, Nick not very familiar with the top of the leaderboard usually, but this one he was.
Old hog about an acre now.
Yeah, let me tell you, I can't tell you how much money I've donated to Nick. Almost as much as I have to Pate. But Nick LeBrun, great job, Nick. He came in 5th with 21.8. And looking down the list here, some local guys. Chase McCullen from Bossier City came in 12th. Let's see here. Converse Glenn Freeman, a standby, a staple at Toledo Bend, a legend over there, more or less. Stephen Johnston, our new sponsor, and our Toledo Bend report guy that starts coming on next week. He came in 19th. Easton Dowden, Bo Dowden's boy, 21st. Shane Williams, a good friend of mine, Keithville. We all know Shane, great fisherman, really good angler there. Kevin Lazio, Dickie Newberry, George Jean Jr., Brian Hester from Bossier City came in 29th. Kevin Jean Anacoca, the V&M guy, came in 30th. So just a great turnout. They had over, I think, 140 pros, and then as well as the ABA tour, which I fished over at Rayburn. We had about right at 90, and I was very impressed. Todd Castledine, a legend over at Rayburn, he won it with 20 pounds, 7.77. And so congratulations to all those guys. And just a great event. Both those events were really well.
Hey, you did good.
And you wrapped up.
I did okay. I finished. Huh?
You wrapped up the bottom half or what?
No, I actually was in the top third. So I finished 24th. Had a decent tournament. I need one more 3-pounder, like a lot of other guys. But had a good turnout and off to a good start in that circuit. So I'll continue to fish it. And
now that was on Toledo also.
No, that was on Rayburn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Sam Rayburn.
If you went back to the same place y'all fished the boat show.
No, and if I'd have fished, that's where I was headed. Had I fished the BFL, I had to fish this ABA to make up for the one. My daughter's getting married on June 24th, and I got to miss the Red River tournament. This ABA made up for the one I'm going to have to miss. So anyway,
you're going to miss a bass tournament because of a wedding?
Yeah.
Okay, now question.
I'm the main dude. I got to walk the girl down the aisle.
Yeah, I mean it's like his daughter.
Yeah, it is my daughter.
That's what I'm saying. It'd be kind of rough if you missed that.
For $25, you can hire a stand-in. I did it.
All right. Question for you: the first boss tournament, not this Saturday, but next Saturday,
February 6th,
Cross Lake.
And
give me some ins and outs on that, as far as rules meetings, that kind of.
No.
Patrick Dennis and I have talked about fishing this.
The entry forms are out at Bayou Outdoors. You can also go to the Bayou Outdoor website, click on the boss section. You can print an entry form.
Okay.
But you need to get your entry form filled out completely by you and your partner and signed, and go by Bayou Outdoors and drop it off. Enter the first tournament at Bayou Outdoors.
Okay.
From then on, after the first tournament, if you're going to pay cash, you can go by Bayou. If you're just going to do it by credit card, from then on, you can call me and I'll take the information on the phone. Try to cut down phone calls into Bayou Outdoor and keeping the people back in the tackle.
Can you go in there and pay? I mean, I know you just were talking about calling. Can you go into Bayou Outdoors and pay right there?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that's what you need to do for the first one.
Gotcha.
After
okay.
that, you can call
okay.
me. Yeah.
Okay.
And we've already got quite a few entries. Next week they'll fall in. I expect it to be a pretty tough tournament.
Now, is it true there's a money back guarantee on this one? I mean, if you enter and you don't catch 25 pounds, then you get your entry fee back. Is that true?
If you go out there and catch 25 pounds, I'll give you your money back. I can tell you what, if you go to Cross Lake and catch a fish, I would almost guarantee you're going to be finishing the money.
Wow.
Really? Is that tough out there?
It's tough right now.
Wow.
Huh.
We are hooking up and tracking down 11:30 the Tiger.
This segment presented by Daiwa Rods and Reels, Bayou Outdoor Supercenter, Toledo Fiberglass, and Candyman Pet Lodge. Now here's the three guys who Candyman Pet Lodge turned away due to the fact that they already stay in the doghouse. Steve Graff, Gary McCoy, and Mike Eccles.
Whew, look at those boys party.
I'm telling you.
All day long. I mean, we will have fish caught up by the piles in here before this show is over with. Deer ready to go. And here in just a minute, we'll talk with Louisiana Charter Boat Captain Josh Ellender after a quick mention from Jay about Daiwa Rods and Reels.
Yeah, with fishing season now upon us, it's time to pick out a new rod and reel combo. Combo that's made with precision and quality components designed to make you fish better. Daiwa's entire line of rods and reels is the best you'll ever fish with. So go to Bayou Outdoors, Toledo Town and Tackle, or Cypress Knee Outdoors to see everything Daiwa has to offer. Or go to Daiwa.com, where technology and fishing all come together.
I'm Gary McCoy, along with the Ranger Pro staffer Steve Graff, Mike Eccles in the house, and Kelly Haydell hanging out with us, and he knows more about this than any of us. Here in just a sec, we will speak with Louisiana Charter Boat Captain Josh Ellender. Got a South Louisiana fishing report. But, one of the things, Kelly, that you can bring to the table is when you're not shooting mallards, pintails, the ducks, waterfowl down in South Louisiana, you get to do a little red fishing and some trout fishing.
I do. I really do.
Was this year, what was it like this year? Because one of the things that I noticed a long time ago, and I don't know how it is on the western half of the state, but when you get down around Venice in that area, usually about November, the river gets really, really, really low, and the water starts falling out of the Roseau cane, and redfish and trout are just about everywhere. This year, I don't know that they really ever got that bad low, did they?
No, and in fact, I had gone down there, made a trip down there in August, and the river was actually higher then than it normally would be. They were expecting, okay, it's going to continue to start falling, and end of October, November, December, it's jam up. That's very typical, prime time. And of course, we've had all of this rain, and all of the tributaries are really pumping up the river. The river is at an extreme high level. The spillways, they've opened up the spillways. Mm-hmm. So the river right now in New Orleans is sitting at about 17 feet, and it's maintaining, and that's a huge problem, because this time of the year you want the river to be
2 feet.
Yeah, exactly.
Really?
Yeah. You want it to be extremely low. So they are catching trout on the outside, and I say they're catching trout. They're catching some. They're catching, their redfish for sure. Mm-hmm. But everything is on the outside of the river itself. Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the guys told me down there a couple of weeks ago, I was visiting with a guy, and he said that as much as it's a detriment right now with the high water, he said it's kind of like a hurricane coming through. It does at some point refreshen and replenish with all the fresh water coming down. He said when it all goes back down, it gets back to normal, it'll be a whole new ball game.
Absolutely.
Well, Louisiana Charter Boat Captain Josh Ellender on the phone with us, South Louisiana Fishing Report. And Josh, everything that we've kind of speculated on. Do you agree? Even though you've had the high water, at some point you're going to reach or get those benefits from that.
Yeah, I would say you would definitely get some benefits. Let me first say thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you for being here.
But, the benefits, you do get the benefits, and I really, where I fish at is I'm not affected as certain other people as the rivers. We're kind of right in the middle of the Atchafalaya and the Mississippi River, mm-hmm. and we get a little bit of high water, but it doesn't affect us as much as people closer to the river. So, mm-hmm. I really don't know for sure what long-term effect and if there is a benefit. But obviously, if you're bringing sediment down, fresh water down, it's got to be a good thing eventually.
Well, it also keeps the saltwater intrusion from coming farther in. Matter of fact, it pushes more fresh water farther out, doesn't it, Josh?
It does. It does. And that is definitely a good thing with all our man-made canals and whatnot, bringing salt water in. It definitely helps flush the system out, so to say, from salt water.
Josh, where do you guide out of?
I'm out of Terrio, Louisiana, or what we call it Dularge. Mm-hmm. I also fish Cocodrie. Mm-hmm. People kind of know that a little bit better.
Yeah. Morganza Spillway wide open right now, isn't it?
No, actually, didn't think it was. I thought it was just the Bonacera Spillway.
Okay, well, I had just gotten a report that that one was open. Now, with you being right there in the Atchafalaya, I think it was just last year, Steve. You'll have to remind me. Didn't you guys? And you might not do any guiding, of black bass, of some freshwater fish, but hadn't the stocking effort gone so well that they changed some of the creel and size limits
well,
there
Josh,
in the Atchafalaya?
you correct me, Josh, if I'm wrong, but from what I was told at a tournament is that it was so hard to catch 14-inch fish that they dropped the creel size limit down to 12. They never really gave a reason for that. Josh, do you know anything about that?
I'm not. It's all hearsay for me as well. I don't fish it often. I do have a couple buddies, that fish a few tournaments. But they're just in our area. They're the only area that actually has a size limit. When we catch any bass while we're marsh fishing for reds, there's no size limit to them. I think that kind of goes in the line of they were having a hard time catching. I kind of heard the same thing.
Yeah, it was. They couldn't get a 14-incher in the boat hard.
Actually, Louisiana is one of the few states in the nation that does not have a minimum length statewide on bass.
Yeah. Question for you. Okay, again, on the phone with us, Louisiana charter boat captain Josh Ellender from South Louisiana, and we're going red fishing. Josh, give me a report card grade right now. How good is red fishing in your area?
Fantastic.
Okay, so you give it an A+.
With A+ right now, but it has to be cold. So what happens when
we can help you out there.
Well, maybe.
That's right. That cold weather does two things. When a front comes in, it drops that temperature of the water, one, and then two, it pushes the water out. The north wind pushes all our water out to the Gulf. And what happens is your redfish will school up, and they'll start stacking up in certain areas. And we start targeting these certain areas. And it'll be deep canals in the middle of the marsh, deep channels, and whatnot. And those redfish get big, and they are hungry, and they're a blast to catch. Just the other day, in fact, Sunday morning, we went out and we caught them. We were just jigging, actually matrix shad on a quarter-ounce jig head on the bottom, and they were slamming them.
Now, these bull reds, are they just what are we looking at here?
These are just slot reds. So these
Okay.
are generally, they're ranging from 16 to 25 inches. That was about our range.
That's a handful. That's a rod full.
What's the length and limit there in your area?
The limit for our area is 16 to 27 inches, and you can possess one over 27 inches.
Okay.
And the amount you can have is 5 per person.
Okay, gotcha. Right. So how long is it taking you to limit out right now?
Oh, the other day it was about an hour.
Wow.
So
that's terrible fishing, isn't it?
Took
you a whole hour.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, with your guide parties, I mean, mostly what you see, are you looking for people that really could care less about the number? They're looking for size, or are you, most of the people you take out, do they really want to catch a bunch of fish?
It varies. I think the more important thing, they want to just have a good time. Whatever their excuse is to get away, they would just want to have a good time. But
yeah.
And I get a lot more inexperienced people than I do experienced people.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're just putting fish in the boat, they're having a good time. It doesn't matter.
Almost every guide I've ever talked to, guys, has always told me, because I've asked the same question to a lot of the guys I've been out with, and they said most people that want to go out with us, they just want to get away from that office.
Oh, yeah.
They don't care. They want to catch fish. They don't care if they catch
Yeah.
a bunch of fish or one big fish. They just want to get out.
Yeah.
That's right. They don't want to have to think anymore.
Yeah.
Why should somebody book you, Josh Ellender? Why should they book you instead of all the other guides out there? Why should they book you to go
Well,
fishing?
he's been on our show.
But I mean, we made him famous. But I mean, what sets you apart from everybody else?
Well, I'd like to say that I'm a real easygoing guy. I like to have a good time. And that doesn't really set me apart. But I definitely I do my best. I give my 100% effort at putting people on fish, and at the same time as making sure they're having a good time. Some days you can't make the fish bite, but as long as we're still having a good time, that's what counts.
Well, he's a coon ass.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, he's not from New York City. You don't want to fish with a guy from New York City.
Can you cook too?
I can cook.
See?
There you go. Now you're talking my language.
Well, Josh, if somebody wanted to book a trip with you, here in the next few months, I assume possibly you might have some holes in there. How would somebody get in touch with you?
Well, there's a couple different ways. I have a website, and that's ellendercharters.com, and also have my telephone number and an email address as well. My telephone number is 985-438-5041, and my email address is jrellender@hotmail.com.
Give that number again.
Yeah, because you talk faster than Steve could write.
All right, the number is 985-438-5041.
All right.
Brother, thank
Thank
you.
you, man.
We really appreciate you hanging out with us. And you say right now is the time to go.
Absolutely. For look, and up and coming, your sheephead are going to move out offshore, and they're going to start their spawning period. And that is absolutely, it's such a good time because literally you're sight casting for them, looking at them in the water, pitching your bait to them, and watching them hammer it. And we're fishing around a lot of structures, so you're having to battle them to rip them out of the legs of the rigs or the legs of pilings or any kind of structure like that before they pop off.
Now, is that a good eating fish, Josh?
Oh, they are fantastic.
Really? I never had. You ever had that? I never had one.
That's sort of like trying to fillet a armadillo, though.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
They are dynamite, though. They are absolutely dynamite.
Really?
Yeah.
Never had that.
Thank you, Josh Ellender, Louisiana Charter Boat Captain Josh Ellender, our South Louisiana Fishing Report. Remember, brother, anything that we can do for you, you just let us know, and we are there for you. Thanks again.
Hey, fellas, thank you.
All right, man.
You know what? Kelly Haydale is in the studio with us today. Kelly, I mean, though you're not a guide. All the years, that you have been in the game call business, you have to take a lot of people to the blind with you, people you might not have ever met before. And, I mean, it's your job to show them that your call is the best call that was ever made. How often do you think, how did this idiot wind up in a duck blind with me? And how quick can I get him out of here?
Most of the time, it's because for some reason I invited him.
Yeah,
So.
but I mean, that happens.
Well, yeah, you're right. It does, and regardless of who the person is, the night before the hunt, always when we sit down to have a meal and before we're getting ready to all turn in, one of the things I always go through, and I started off the same way. I tell the guys, I said, I don't know how much you've hunted. But I know you've never hunted with me, and so don't take any offense to this if you are a seasoned veteran hunter. But here is how things are going to go tomorrow in our duck blind, and that tends to help.
Yeah.
And it could be that this guy is a seasoned veteran hunter that really knows what's going on, or it may be somebody that has no clue and is afraid to ask.
Yeah.
So I try to go ahead and clear the air as far as that, and that really helps.
It's kind of like your wife giving instructions before a family reunion.
Exactly.
How you need to conduct yourself. What you
will not pick your nose.
Well,
you will
the worst thing you can have hunting or fishing is somebody that tells you they can do it and they really can't.
Oh, wow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when you're going to wind up with like 6 reels down there backlashed,
Yeah.
or a hunting accident. Because I'd rather take a woman. A woman will tell you,
I don't know.
I can't do it. I don't know how to
Ego
do it.
thing.
Show me how,
Yeah.
and I will listen.
Yeah.
A man will tell you he can do it, and he ain't got a clue.
Yeah, exactly.
Sit tight. Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries, Larry Reynolds and Eccles and I have no idea why, but he's going to be on the show in just a minute.
I know why I lined it up.
Mike lined him up.
I don't know why it's not written here. All it says is interview with Larry Reynolds.
Then you just bring us back, and I'll take over.
Okay, then we're going to do that. Sit tight. Hooking up, tracking down, 11:30, the Tiger.
Horse and cart. I'm just a country boy.
You're listening to the Hooking Up and Tracking Down show presented by Nichols Department Stores, J&J Exterminating, and Haydell Game Calls. Take it away, guys.
Thank you, ma'am. We are hooking up and tracking down Gary McCoy, along with a Ranger Pro staffer, Steve Graff. Mr. Mudhen, Mike Eccles is here. And get ready now. Next Saturday is
February the 6th.
Yeah, Boss Tournament Trail. Yeah. Mike's baby kicks off. And you're also going to have the Cash Splash again this year, correct?
Cash Splash Thursday night tournament starts March the 24th and runs for 8 events through the end of June with the championship in September.
So some really good circuits that Mike's involved with there, and you're going to love those. Of course, our guest in the studio today from Haydell's Game Calls, he is Kelly Haydell. And, I mean, when it comes to blowing a duck call, building a duck call, goose call, deer grunts, you name it. Y'all even got a squirrel call, don't you?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Did you bring an H2?
I do have one.
Okay, we'll do that in a little bit.
Okay, we're gonna blow that. Is that the new one?
Yep.
Okay.
He just happened to.
Oh, that's the one you blew at the show last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
See, he knows he's a real duck hunter. He carries one in his pocket all the time, just in case.
I'll bet he's got 4 or 5 laying on the dashboard of his truck.
Exactly.
And on the phone with us from Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries, Larry Reynolds, and he has got the information that the duck season this year in 2016 will start January the 30th, and it will go all the way until December 31. Is that right, Larry?
Well, we'd kill some really good-looking ducks.
Hey, Larry, thank you for being with us today.
Well, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Okay, Larry Reynolds is the waterfowl study leader for the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries, biologist. He's the one that travels around and does the surveys, gets opinions and studies, and is very, very important in setting the waterfowl seasons, the splits, and I got to tell you, Larry's one of those not only very knowledgeable, he backs up everything he says with facts and numbers. And
I hate people that do
unlike
that.
our show,
I can't argue with him.
And he and I almost never agree.
Yeah, I hate that.
Because he does that. But he's one of those guys that you can disagree with and walk away, and he's still Larry, and he's still a good guy.
Okay, good.
So that's all the accolades I'm going to give you, Larry.
Well, I can't thank you enough for that, Mike. This is one of those jobs that it has to be done in the open. You have to be able to justify the decisions that you make, and I try my best to do it. That when I make a recommendation, it's not just based on what I think is best in the area that the distance of steel number 2 falls from my blind, but for as many people as possible, and especially up there in your part of the world, guys. I've made a lot of enemies in the last few years.
Well, you have, but I told you the other day when I was in Baton Rouge, if they tripled the salary, gave me a credit card, a company vehicle, and a 21-year-old secretary, I would not take your job.
Wow, no. It'd be tough.
I think the only thing worse.
Does she have blonde hair and blue eyes, though?
The only thing worse than dealing with a bunch of duck hunters and trying to make them happy is dealing with a bunch of bass fishermen, tournament bass fishermen. I think that's more difficult. But Larry, in the next couple of months, we're going to have some public meetings up here in the West Zone, and people are going to have a chance to come out and talk to you, and you're going to explain what's on the horizon for the upcoming seasons and how long we're going to be stuck with or happy with the seasons that y'all implement this year, right?
That's right. This is a big change in the way we do business. I think for public comment purposes, it's a really good change, because in the past we would go to the flyway meeting in July. We would set the waterfowl hunting seasons in August at the August Commission meeting, and if you weren't there at that August Commission meeting, you missed your chance. Well, now, in this transition, we're now going to propose the waterfowl hunting season dates with the notice of intent for all hunting seasons at the January Commission meeting, which is what we did, and that's going to allow everybody 90 days, because the vote to finalize the hunting season isn't going to come until the April Commission meeting. So we've got a full 90 days for everybody to do whatever they feel necessary to get their voices heard to the commission regarding the season dates. And one of the first steps in doing that are these public meetings. We made the proposals in January. The commission will meet again the first Thursday in February. There may be some modification to those dates. I've heard that at least one commissioner is considering adding 8 days to the goose season, which is allowable under the federal framework. And so really at the end of the February commission meeting, we'll have a firm notice of intent that we can take to these public meetings, and we'll be there to hear whatever anybody has to say about it.
Okay, the proposals that were set in January, how can somebody find those?
If you go to our website, in fact, there was a press release just issued today. It's on the front page of the LDWF website, and in that press release, along with the locations, the times, and the dates of the public meetings in late February, there's a link. You click on that link, and it'll take you to it's a 61-page document, but it has all of the proposed hunting regulations for the upcoming 2016-17 season. And if you scroll down to pages 59 through 61, I believe, you'll find all of the waterfowl proposed season dates.
Larry, being, just a novice duck hunter, I mean, back in the day, there was a time when I spent a lot of time chasing them, but...
Over a dam.
Yeah, exactly.
That's me.
But, if you had to narrow it down, and I know there's a lot more components than this, but if you had to narrow it down to the top 4 bullet points, what are the top 4 criteria that you consider when you establish those seasons, when you propose those?
Okay. One of the first things is that I'm going to maximize the number of weekends. Saturdays and Sundays are when the vast majority of hunters in our state and everywhere can hunt. And that's really what we're trying to do by setting waterfowl hunting seasons, is provide an opportunity for people to participate.
Right.
So number 1, I try to maximize the number of weekends. Number 2, the season must be open when the kids are out of school for the major holidays. That means Thanksgiving, Christmas to New Year's. The season has to be open during those times because those are extremely important times when we take time off and have time off to hunt with friends and family.
Mm-hmm.
And the third thing is that I intend to take maximum advantage of what is offered by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service unless there is some biological reason not to do so. And then the fourth thing, you wanted 4 points, is I try to compromise, I guess is the right word, but what I try to do is I try to meld our historical harvest data with our hunter opinion data to generate the most reasonable season dates for each zone in the state.
Okay, see, that's where I think the rub is.
Absolutely.
Because our historical data, from talking to hunters like even Kelly Haydale here, the historical data doesn't match with what's happened in the most recent 10 years.
Absolutely. And I think that's this is where Larry and I disagree. Not let me back up. Larry works off public opinion. And when I say what Larry does, it's not Larry's not doing what Larry wants.
Right.
Larry's doing what the numbers tell him the majority of the people want.
Using those criteria that he just gave us.
So he gets a black eye because he's doing what 300 people wrote down on a survey said they won't.
Right.
But we're still living under this belief that we get our ducks with weather. Later in the year, there's more mallards, and there's some people, a percentage of hunters out there that still look at that. Mm-hmm. The facts are, because we're out there almost every day of the season. Mm-hmm. 80% of our ducks come through the west zone before Christmas.
Wow.
Now, the people that think they see ducks towards the end of January, a lot of them are return ducks.
Okay.
Weather patterns, agriculture patterns have changed the way ducks migrate.
Do you agree with that, Larry?
Yes and no.
Well, leave the no part out and let's go with the yes.
Yes on agriculture, no on Eccles.
It hurt you to say you agreed even a slight bit with Eccles, didn't it?
No, but the problem is that the very first statement that you made is that I'm relying on this past harvest data, which is different than what happens today. That's exactly the opposite of what you've just said. The past harvest data, the harvest data I've used is from 2001 to 2010.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Which ain't that far in the past.
Right. Okay.
The second thing is it shows that in the west zone, in northwest Louisiana, 56% of your season kill has been taken in the first 3 weeks of the season. Because for those 10 years, that was the old West Zone days. You had the same season dates as the coastal area, which was the second Saturday in November for 3 weeks, a 12-day split, and then 5 weeks to the end of the season. Those harvest data show that 56% of your harvest comes in the first 3 weeks of the season. Correct. But when I do the hunter opinion surveys in the same place with hunters that hunt in the West Zone, 50% of them tell me that they want later season dates, not earlier, and even not the same dates. So the conflict that I'm left with is the harvest data shows good kill early in the season. The hunter opinion data overwhelmingly shows sentiment for later season dates. Now, how do I deal with that?
Wow.
Because it's the hunters that are buying hunting licenses and hunting.
Mm-hmm.
In what business, let's talk to Kelly Haydell, in what business, when the majority of your users say they want X, you tell them, no, you really want Y, and that's what we're going to pass. So I find myself in this unwinnable situation, and what do? I compromise those two things.
Mm-hmm.
I am not going to propose that the West Zone run their season to the end of the federal framework because the majority of the hunters want later seasons. But at the same time, I am not going to propose that we open the season on the 1st of November because the harvest data says we kill more ducks earlier. I'm using all of that information together to propose what I think are season dates that send all of you, leaving the public meeting a little pissed off at me, rather than sending half of you out of the public meeting overjoyed and the other half looking to slash my tires.
Larry, would you do us a favor, because the information that you're passing on to us, we really need. Would you mind hanging on and speaking with us a little bit more about this?
Man, I got long-winded on you, didn't I?
No. We need you. What you're giving us right now, I guarantee you there are ears everywhere who have turned their radios up.
Okay. I'll hang on as long as you need me.
You bet. We'll be back more with Larry Reynolds from the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries. If you're a duck hunter, you want to sit tight. Hook it up and track it down, 11:30 The Tiger.
Another log on the fire. Cook me up some.
Welcome back. This segment presented by Ranger Boats, Toledo Bend Lake Country, Santone Lures, and Bellevue Meat Processing. Speaking of processing, these guys are still trying to figure out just exactly how this show works. Gary, Steve, and Mike.
Hey, thanks a lot for hanging out with us. More with Larry Reynolds from Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries. We're looking at the 2016-17 duck season here in just a sec. We'll do that. First, though, a quick read from Topwater about Spro Lures.
Topwater, that's me, right?
Yeah,
I forget every week. When it comes to catching fish, no one does it better than Spro Lures. Stick baits, crankbaits, and the best frogs on the planet, Spro will help to ensure your live wells are full of fish. When top-name pros reach into their tackle box, they want a proven lure that they know will help put a paycheck in their hands. Spro, making lures that do one thing, catch fish. Go to sprolures.com to learn more. Spro, taking fishing to the highest level.
Okay, Larry Reynolds from Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries on the phone. And Larry, I'm gonna give you something here real quickly, because I've worked in radio for pushing 40 years now. And my livelihood is determined by those who will fill out a survey, a diary. And, you know, they'll take the time to go in and do that and tell what radio station they listen to. We've noticed here within the confines of our building in my industry that those people who will take the time to do that over the last 10 to 15 years have gradually gotten older. They're the same people from before, but that younger crowd won't do it anymore. They immediately see survey and it gets deep sixed. It's gone. So I want you to understand where I'm going with this point. If 56% of the harvest or 53% of the harvest is in that first couple of weeks, generally speaking, you're talking about the greatest numbers of hunters that are out there, because the really seasoned hunters are basically the only ones who are still doing it later in the season, or the ones who've come in later in the season, they were deer hunting early in the season. And I don't know if you get a true representation on that. Granted, all you can do is work off what you've got for public opinion. But I will say this, and this is cliche, but it's a fact. People don't know what they want. They want what they know.
That may in fact be the truth. And so who determines what we give them? I don't know the answer to that question. But
God love you for the position that you're in. I can't imagine.
Yeah. But I do. But I can address some of the earlier things you said.
Okay.
The data on harvest come from people who respond to surveys. They come from the number of ducks, come from the guys that register with HIP, and all of us have to get our HIP permit, and a random sample is selected of those hunters, and those that respond to the surveys are the data that get counted.
Has that sample size increased or decreased in the last 10 years?
It's remained fairly constant.
Okay, good. Okay.
Larry, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
The HIP surveys that are done, now, when you're asked these questions there at the retailer, whenever you're buying your license and they start asking you the questions about, you know, how many ducks have you harvested, how many geese, and so on. Mm-hmm. When you answer those questions, what is done with that information? Is anything actually done with that information? Is that how they determine who is going to be chosen?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say that every year I answer 0 just because I'm in a hurry, or the person at the register is in a hurry, and I just want to get my ticket. I'm running late. I'm headed to the lake. We got to get the blind set up. Give me my license, and I just say 0.
Yep.
Am I ever going to be chosen to fill out the other part of that survey?
You have a lower chance of being chosen, because the answer to those questions create the stratification. And the stratification allows us to get a similar estimate with a lower sample size, or a higher quality estimate, meaning a smaller confidence limit, with the same sample size. And so what happens is those people that report 30 or more ducks, they have a 5% chance of being selected for the survey. Those that report 10 to 30 have a 3% chance of getting selected, and those that report less than 10 have a 2% chance of being selected for the survey. And that's what those data are used for. But what we do, in other words, a lot of people say, Academy didn't even ask me the questions.
Correct.
The HIP estimates are all wrong. And the fact is that we can go back and look at, okay, what was the average kill for those people that told us they killed 0 to 10? And what that average turns out to be is it turns out to be 5. And of those those people that told us they killed between 10 and 30, what did they really kill when we selected our sample and they sent us the data?
Right.
And that turns out to be usually between 13 and 15. And what about those that told us they killed 30 or more? And that usually turns out to be about 35 to 40. So what happens is for all the imperfections in the HIP registration questions, the stratification still works. And why is that the case? That's the case because the many, many more people now are buying their licenses online.
Oh, okay.
And when you buy it online, you have to answer the questions.
Right.
And so the process still works. The harvest data is as valid now. It's actually more valid now than it's ever been. There are issues with non-response because their response rate is about 50%. About 50% of the people that they select for the survey tell them they won't participate. But we've done some follow-up studies to show that those that don't participate tend to have similar characteristics of those that do. So we're fairly confident since 1999 that the harvest data is pretty representative. Now, when I break it down by week, it gets less and less representative.
Yeah.
Because the confidence limit on the total number of ducks we kill, all species over the entire state, is minus 12%.
Hey, Larry, we're close to running out of time,
Sure.
but this is important. I'm not going to be happy with what you propose because I know you're not going to open the West Zone the first weekend in November and run it straight through. I'm not going to be happy, and I want to be there to raise Cain when y'all have the public meetings.
Absolutely.
Not raise Cain. I'm going to sit there and talk with you. Where and when are these public opinion meetings going to be held? Like, we got to get that in.
Okay, in your area, in the area of your listeners, on the 26th of February, there's a meeting at the Dry Prong Community Center. And on the 29th, there's a meeting in Alexandria and in Minden. And so I am going to be at the meeting in Alexandria. I have been instructed to be there. I don't know if I'm going to get to the meeting at Dry Prong because I'm hosting the Flyway meeting in Alexandria, and that runs from the 23rd through the 26th.
Okay, Minden is going to be the LDWF
At the
office.
LDW